Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorables. We would also welcome and thank our Vice Rector for Research and Collaboration, Dr. Janus Eko Adi Prastianto. And I would like also to welcome all participants to the event today. We are very happy that we have this opportunity to exchange information, to share experiences, and the idea of the free flow of knowledge, the freedom to transfer knowledge, the free mobility of not only researchers, but also research, and also the idea to collaborate among researchers and in institutions worldwide can be done now in more progressive and effective ways. And for that purpose, we are now joining this event today. We will learn about what kind of opportunities that we might have to collaborate for international research, and also for those who would like to pursue further studies, either for PhD, for master program, or to conduct more research in postdoctoral program. So it's a very exciting moment for us. And before we start, I would like to invite Pak Eko, Dr. Janus Eko Adi Prastianto, to give an opening remarks and also at the same time to open the event. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon or good morning or good day. Welcome to Unika Atmajaya. Welcome to Atmajaya Catholic University of Indonesia. And then also welcome to Indonesia. Today we will learn from Dr. Susan and Dr. Jenny about about European call. European call. I think there are several MSCA call, and then also Erasmus Plus, and so on. And I believe this opportunities is really good for us as a researchers, especially Asian researchers. And yeah, I think I will not talk too much. Really, welcome to everybody. Welcome to Atmajaya, and let's enjoy this talk this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Eko. Also, I would like to thank Pak Eko for the constant support for researchers, not only in Atmajaya, but also outside Atmajaya, and to encourage us to collaborate not only nationwide, but also international-wide. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Susanna and also Dr. Jenny to present the materials concerning the opportunities, what we can do together in terms of conducting research. To Dr. Susanna and later on Dr. Jenny, please, the floor and screen are yours.
Thank you so much, and I hope you don't mind if I take off my mask. I think I'm sufficiently far away. First of all, thank you so much for these really warm words of welcome. It's always a great pleasure for us of Euraxis ASEAN to travel throughout the region and to speak to the research community. And it's particularly lovely to be here at this wonderful university in Jakarta. It's been such a long time that we've been able to meet with you in person, so we're particularly delighted. And as you've just said, of course, the challenges that we're all facing can only be tackled sufficiently through international collaboration. So this is very much at the heart of the project that my colleague Dr. Jenny Elmako and myself are working on here in Southeast Asia. Now we've prepared, I think, a really intense presentation for you. It's all focused at providing you with information on the opportunities that are available to you as researchers to further your career or to, in fact, spend some time in Europe. So I will start off, and I'd like to just first of all present to you information about the Uraxis project that Jenny and myself are working on. And I hope my clicker is working here. Should be, yes, exactly. So the project we're working on is called Euraxess, researchers in motion, and it is really a fantastic tool for anyone. It doesn't matter which discipline you're working on, and it doesn't matter where you are in your career. It's a fabulous tool for you to find out more about the opportunities. So it's not just about information about what's happening in Europe, but it is also a tool for you to research the funding opportunities and to build your own research network. Euraxess is both a virtual tool, it's a database that you can easily access online, but it is also a community. What we provide is, first of all, a lot of information. We know that you're all very busy in your labs finding out the solutions to the problems that we face, but of course you also want to work on your own career development. So we have information there on where are the centers of excellence in your discipline, what type of funding is available, what type of support is available. We have a funding and jobs database. I think this is very interesting for all of you, because there you find the opportunities of 42 countries in the European research area in one location. So there's always around 10,000 offers every day, ranging from masters, fellowships to professorships. And I'm just looking here at our kind host. It's also an opportunity for you perhaps to post the opportunities you have at your own university to reach out to talent in Europe or in other parts of the world. Euraxess is also a fabulous tool if you're looking for partners. A lot of the European funding calls are requiring you to join a consortium. So it is usually not funding for one research actor, but for a group of research actors. We have readily available a partnering tool, so you can reach out to other research actors, not just in Europe, but in other parts of the world. So the other very important tool, I think, is a hosting database. I'm going to speak later on about a particular fellowship, the Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship, and this one is asking the applicant to find a supervisor in Europe, which I know for young research is sometimes problematic because you don't have a network yet. With the hosting database, you can easily identify supervisors in Europe that are looking for researchers. Career development is, of course, very important. We have a dedicated resources for your career development. I've just also highlighting here the mentoring schemes that we have in place, focusing first of all on the mobility of researchers that may want to go to Europe for some time, the Rebecca program. But we also have, we also have the Rebecca program, which is mentoring for researchers that are moving perhaps from academia to industry. So if you want to move sideways, so to say. We have an interesting event coming up just on Monday, which you might want to look at. This is a matchmaking session, in fact. There'll be European companies looking for researchers that want to work with them. So if you're interested in that particular event, I've just put up here the QR code for registration. So this is just one example of the mentoring and career development that Euraxess provides. As I said at the beginning, Euraxess is also a network of real people. We have tens of thousands of people all over the world at all career stages that are connected through Euraxess. So by becoming a member of this project, you can also start building your own contact base. So for example, for something as mundane, like looking for people to speak on a panel at a conference that you might want to attend, you can reach out to the people in your field across the globe. You can see our network is based across 9 strategic locations across the world, and of course here in Southeast Asia we have a very strong presence because there's such fabulous research being conducted here. And you can see here the kind of work that we do on the ground, Jenny and myself, everything from scientific roundtables to matchmaking, to alumni meetings, etc. And just to give you an idea what's coming up in the next few weeks, in fact, I think this is on Tuesday, we have a session on how to do a funded PhD in Europe. We have, I think, on Wednesday, sorry, this clicker is a little bit too fast, or maybe it's my quick finger, how to write a PhD application. And we have a panel discussion on open science, which again, this is very important for researchers. How is open science handled, for example, in European grants? So just an example of the activities that we're doing, and just for me to conclude this part of the presentation, this is us. You're seeing us throughout the next 30 minutes or so. My message to you is Euraxess is here for you. We are based in Southeast Asia. I'm in Singapore, just next door. Jenny is currently in the Philippines, but will be in Vietnam soon. If you ever have any requests, or you need support, or you would like to have an event of any sorts, please do reach out to us. Now, Jenny, I think now it's your turn. I'm introducing my colleague again, Dr. Jenny Elmako, and she will talk to us about very interesting opportunities under the Erasmus Plus program. Jenny, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Susan. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me well, just to check?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I have an interesting tidbit for Atmajaya University. I know about your university very well because I used to be Secretary General of ACUCA, the Association for Christian Universities and Colleges in Asia, and of course, of which you are a very proud member. So before I joined Euraxess, I was there. So I'm sure I've met some of your professors, and it has been a pleasure also as well to interact, especially with the programs, the great programs that you have. So a little bit about myself. So of course, I'm the other half of Susan, as regional coordinator of Euraxess, but also I am an alumna of the Erasmus Plus program, which I am going to talk about. So this is exciting. And if you can please put up the slide beside me, I can explain it a bit further. So here, so today I will talk to you in the next 15 minutes or so about Erasmus Plus and how you can engage and collaborate in this very, very interesting program. Next slide, please. Essentially, at first, I'll talk to you a little bit about the European Education Research Area, and then we are going to move towards the international dimensions of Erasmus and the types of programs that would be open for Atmajaya, and also some links and more information. Next slide, please. So just to tell you a little bit about the European landscape, my colleague Susan was talking to you about the European research area of Euraxess, and it is more than, the member states. It's really like basically, the whole world, that's very much interconnected. But within the program of Erasmus, it really focuses on the 3 of the 6 EU priorities, which is, connecting to the world, and also about digital transformation, and also being very, very active as well in the green transition, making sure that everything is sustainable. And there are 3 initiatives for education in Europe and beyond. We have the European Education Area of 2025, the Digital Education Action Plan, and of course, Erasmus Plus. May I have the next slide, please? So the European Research Area helps European member states work together to build more resilient and inclusive education and training systems. So when it comes to education, of course, it's really like many things, not just instruction, inside of the classroom. And it's also recognizing with Europe that, in order for it to be successful, it cannot also just work within its borders, but it also has to work with the world. So, this is what they've seen, in the surveys that they've had. So really, what the EU wants to do is to, and your moderator has been saying this and I like what you said earlier. She said about the free movement, of knowledge and the free movement of ideas. And this is really what we want to do for a better world, especially post-pandemic. So, and this is really the spirit of Erasmus Plus. Can you go to the next slide, please? So here you see, these priorities, and the objective is really to improve the quality of education. And also another part of it is not just to stop with education, but also making sure that it is inclusive. So when it comes to the EU, it's very, very particular also about inclusion and gender equality, and also, dealing with reaching, the challenges and the problems that we have wherever we are in the world. So meeting the sustainable development goals, for example, is something that Europe cannot do alone. Every one of us, and us in Indonesia, in the Philippines, everybody has to work together. So this is essentially it. Next slide, please. So the Digital Action Plan, it's a high performance digital education system for Europe. And it's on enhanced skills among European citizens, but also expanding it to the world in order to face the digital transition. Next slide. And there's also a European strategy for universities. These are flagship initiatives, financial support, how to future-proof, the university, as I said, diversity, inclusiveness, and gender equality, European democratic values, green transition, and digital transition is basically a big rethink on how universities should cooperate, across, the dimensions, across borders, and making sure that we are responding, especially post-pandemic. Next slide, please. So finally, I give you the international dimensions of Erasmus. So if you look at the color codes, the yellow ones, these are the partner countries and non-associated third countries. And those in blue are the program countries, which are the member states and the associated third countries. Next slide, please. So these are the opportunities for higher education institutions from non-associated third countries, which of course Indonesia is one of those, same with Vietnam and Thailand, and Philippines, and many other Southeast Asian countries. So I'm going to talk to you about the International Credit Mobility, which is one program, also about the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Program, and there is also a new program which is called the Erasmus Mundus Design Measures. I will also talk to you about the capacity building for higher education, and lastly about the Jean Monnet. So all of these programs you can definitely be part of. So let's go to the first one. Next slide, please. So the international credit mobility, these are agreements that are for students for study, students for traineeships, and also for staff for teaching and training. So mobility can be in either direction. So from Indonesia to Europe, or Europe to Indonesia. And these projects are proposed by European universities. Later on, I will let you see which programs you can apply directly for, or which programs need a partner, or which programs you need more partners inside. So each European country will have a budget for its universities to fund the mobility agreements, with scholarships for regions from all over the world. And European universities apply to the national agencies. So the funding under this program, and you can see the information there, the study periods are for 2 to 12 months. There is blended mobility, so you can have physical mobility, and then you have also a virtual component. So it covers living costs for individuals. You have a contribution for the travel cost. There is also what you call as an operating cost, which is basically a partnership that will cover the cost of running this program. And there, of course, there are universities in non-associated third countries should then talk to the European academic contacts, to be able to be a part of this program. So shall we go to the next slide? So the next program is the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Program. I think many of you know already about this. I am an alumna also of this program. I did my my Erasmus in Germany and in Austria. So these is basically these are excellent programs, from all fields, and here the courses are offered by a consortia. So three plus three or more full partner HEIs from three different countries, at least two of which must be EU member states or associated third countries. So the idea here is to attract the best students worldwide through EU funded scholarships. The duration is for the program is for 6 academic years, but the master's degrees will be finished in 2 years. This is open again for institutions from all over the world who can submit a proposal on behalf of an international consortium. So that's another program, the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters. Can we go to the next, please? The next program is new. This is the Erasmus Mundus Design Measures program, and this is a new sub-action, and this supports institutions to set up a new joint master program. So these are jointly delivered by international partnerships of HEIs or higher education institutions from different countries worldwide. And it's an independent funding scheme, so it has an independent call for proposals. So the EU grant that's given here, it comes in a form of a single contribution of about 55,000 euros for cost linked to the activities necessary to build this master's program. So this could be like, joint program design, administrative and financial management, common services to give to students, how to promote and how to disseminate the program, a partnership and student agreement. All of these things are funded under this program. So this is quite cute. Can we go to the next slide, please? Just to give you a glimpse about the Erasmus Mundus scholarships that I talked earlier, if you look down there, between 2014 to 2020, there have been 224 scholarships given. So that's not bad when it comes to participation, but I'm sure we can do it much, much better and have, this more of the mobility and exchanges with students. Can we go to the next slide, please? So another program of Erasmus Plus is capacity building for higher education. And the aim overall is to support modernization and internationalization, something I'm sure that you're also very, very interested in doing, to improve quality, to improve the level of competencies and skills, to enhance management and government in HEIs, to promote people-to-people contacts, intercultural understanding, also to have a voluntary convergence with European higher education policy developments, and on also on the green transition or digital transformation. So in this case, there has to here we have a minimum of 1/3 country and minimum of 2 European countries. So, but of course there can be more. The more the merrier. So here again, later on, I will show you, what's needed to build this consortium again, so that you are reminded. So in this case, this is a great program for Atmajaya to think about. So it helps you at the same time. Also, it expands your network, your capacities, but also you also can contribute, with your best practices that you've done also in your university and also in the region. Next slide, please. So here you see participation, and I'm sorry it's not quite clear, but I can tell you here that Indonesia is quite good when it comes to participation. Oh, thank you. That's so much better. When it comes to the capacity building for higher education. But again, we can do so much more with this, and with the participation of Atmajaya, I'm sure we can have a lot more best practices that we can share to the world. So please think about that. Next, I will talk to you about the Jean Monnet, and here this is really activities that will promote excellence in teaching and research in the field of EU integration worldwide. Also about fostering political dialogue with the academic world and supporting the associations active in the field of EU studies. So here you can create modules, you can create a center of excellence, you can have a chair in European studies or European integration studies, you can have projects, and you can have networks. So this is an excellent, opportunity as well for you to have, like, let's say, a chair inside of European studies inside Atmajaya. And this is great because you can do all of these things. That this on one hand you can develop as well, and expand the teaching inside. At the same time, you can also expand and network with the rest of the world with this project with the Jean Monnet. Can you go to the next slide, please? So it's important to note. Sorry, can you go back to the last slide? Sorry, just one thing. One more. No, it's, three steps back. A little bit more. Nope. Go back. Sorry. Go back. The Jean Monnet. Yes, please stop there. I just wanted to say that in contrast to the others, the Jean Monnet are individual projects. So these are activities that provide grants to universities and professors to teach and spread knowledge about studies on Europe and on European integration. So these are open to institutions worldwide. So this is an important aspect that I think would be very, very interesting as well to Atmajaya. Next slide, please. So in summary, and I'm sorry, I know that I'm rushing a little bit, but we don't have that much time, but you can ask me questions later. So when it comes to the international credit mobility, if you are from a non-associated third country, you are a partner, okay? So you cannot apply yourself, but you have to have a partner with you. You can be a partner, but not like the main applicant. With the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master and the Erasmus Mundus design measures, you can be an applicant partner. So meaning to say that Atmajaya can do the initiative and apply for the grant, be the one to apply for the grant. For the capacity building for higher educations, you can be an applicant partner, but you have to look if you are, depending on if you are in the region that is eligible for this. For Jean Monnet activities, you can be an applicant partner. So you can propose directly, to the EU about the project that you want to do in the context of the Jean Monnet. Next slide, please. So when to apply and for what, please don't worry. It looks like it's already passed, but if you notice, this is until 2027. So just take a look at the dates, because more or less it will play around these dates. So the international credit mobility will again be in February, around February in 2023. Same thing with Erasmus Mundus and the joint design measures, also the capacity building for higher education. And then a little bit, maybe a month or two later would be the Jean Monnet. So you can see there the budgets for these schemes. So it's quite generous and really something that can help your institution as well. Next slide. So also one thing that Susanna and I would like you to be to participate in is the study in Europe, or the European Higher Education Affairs. Usually this is done with the EU delegations in your countries. The EU delegation in Indonesia is of course extremely active. So this is a chance also to get to know a little bit more about Erasmus and the other programs of the member states. So please take note of that. That will happen in the next month. Next slide. Yes, so that's just our email. Please email us for more information. Please follow us on our Twitter accounts and other social media accounts. Also, please sign up for our newsletter that we have every single time. I'm sorry if I went a little bit beyond 15 minutes, Susan, but the floor is back to you. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And I think just maybe to add, the application for the scholarships on the Erasmus Mundus programs is always around October. So if someone is looking for a scholarship on one of these programs, then autumn would be the hot phase to apply, and I was just looking, I think last year 200 scholarships were awarded across ASEAN, and as you said, the Philippines and Indonesia are particularly good at sending researchers on these programs. Now, fabulous opportunities there, and we're now looking at another program. This is the Marie Skodovska Career Actions Program, and there are opportunities really for researchers at all career stages, and I'm going to spend 10 minutes or so introducing you to this particular program. Now, the Marie Skodovska Career Actions, I hope there we go. Marie Curie actions are part of the Horizon Europe program. I'm sure you've all heard of Horizon 2020. That is the predecessor to the current European Union framework program for science, research and innovation. It is in a nutshell a funding program put in place by the European Commission, and it tackles the thematic challenges that Europe faces and of course that the world faces. This program runs for 7 years, similar to the Erasmus Plus program, and it currently has a value of 100 billion euros. Now, what we're looking at the moment is the first pillar of this program. You can see it is called Excellent Science, and there we find the Marie Skodovska Career Actions, and there are basically opportunities for career development for researchers. There we go. Now, what are the key features of this program? As I said, it focuses really on researcher training, skills, and career development. It is a program that has a very high status. It is a very prestigious program. It focuses very much on excellence, and it is a substantial boost to any researcher's career development. It focuses also on international and intersectoral mobility. International mobility is key to this particular program. I'm going to explain in a minute what that means, but at the bottom line, it is really an extremely attractive program, provides attractive working conditions for all the beneficiaries. What makes it important to know is also this is a global program. There are no restrictions. Any researcher of any discipline, but also of any nationality, can benefit from the actions under this particular program. Here's just some figures on the participation of ASEAN countries, and I think I don't want to dwell on this for too long. The Marie Skodovska Career Actions are one of the most important instruments, I think, for researchers in ASEAN to gain an entrance into research with European partners. Now, there are 5 actions, and we're going to focus on 3 today. One are the doctoral networks, and as the name implies, an opportunity to do a PhD in Europe. The second one are the postdoc fellowships. And the third program I want to introduce you to are the staff exchanges. Some of you might remember it used to be called the RISE program. It has been shortened to staff exchanges. So, but very much opportunities for everybody at different stages of their career development. There we go. So, what are the doctoral networks that we're focusing on first? Doctoral networks are very much interdisciplinary and international doctoral training networks. It's a little bit the extension to the Erasmus Mundus programs, only in this context it's consortia, meaning at least 3 European and international higher education institutions that are putting together a PhD training program. So international collaboration and intersectoral collaboration is what makes these programs particularly interesting. They are dedicated to training early career researchers to become experts in their field. So it's a very unique opportunity because you carry out your PhD research in not just one institution, but in 2 or 3. Where can you find these networks? All across the European research area that Jenny has already introduced. You see, of course, on the left-hand side, the EU member states. On the right-hand side, countries that are associated with the European research area. For you, particularly interesting, perhaps, the UK continues to also host those programs. This is the funding that's associated. Importantly, these are very generously funded PhD opportunities. You get a living allowance, you get a mobility allowance, and if you happen to have a dependent, because some of you might already be married children, you also have financial support for your dependents. The application to these programs is very much like you would apply for a job opportunity elsewhere. The projects that are set up under these doctoral networks will have very specific criteria, so the consortium will be looking for people with a particular profile, and then the application is probably not dissimilar to if you were to apply to a PhD opening at a university in Indonesia. So I'm just gonna click here to this important slide. You're probably wondering, where do you find this type of opportunity? And the Euraxess jobs portal that I introduced at the very beginning is where you would find all these opportunities. So I really invite you to make sure to continuously look at our website to find the opportunities. This is what our database looks like. You can do a keyword search and then identify the opportunity that is of most interest and relevance to you. The second program, as I announced, are the Msca postdoc fellowships. This is a fantastic opportunity. It's particularly interesting because the call is currently open. It opened just last month, and it is going to close in September, on the 14th of September. So if anyone is looking for a postdoc opportunity, this would be the time now to zoom in on this fellowship. These are individual fellowships, so it's not for an institution, it's for you, a personal fellowship to advance your career. And you can see here, and this is what I'd like to focus on, we have European fellowships, and we have global fellowships. European fellowships means you as an Indonesian researcher go to an institution in Europe to carry out your postdoc research. But this is all about two-way mobility. It's an opportunity also for your institution to host a Euro-based fellow here in Indonesia. This is the call, as I already said. It has a very generous budget. So just to give you an indication, it translates to around 1,400 fellowships that will be awarded. So as I said, it's a personal fellowship. It is open to all nationalities. It is open to all domains of research. And importantly, at the bottom is the bottom-up principle, which means there are no focus areas. This is not a call where they're looking for specific thematic areas, but it's really up to the applicant to develop his or her research idea and apply with it. It's funding for 1 to 2 years. Here are the eligibility criteria. Importantly, you must have a PhD at the time of application, which means 14th of September this year, or you must have already defended your thesis. If you don't have the document in hand, that's okay, but you must have passed your viva. Secondly, you must not have more than 8 years of post-PhD research experience. That means if after your PhD you've done teaching or you've worked in a different field, that will be discounted. So pure research work after the PhD must not amount to more than 8 years. If you've had a child in between or sick leave, etc., there is a particular formula to subtract this. Applicants must also apply with the mobility rule. As I said, MSCA is all about mobility. We don't want you to be in one place. We want you to move around. So as a theoretical example, you want to go from Indonesia to Europe. You can pick any country unless you have been in this country for more than 12 months in the past 3 years. So if you've been there on a sabbatical or something, then you should perhaps pick a different destination. If you have already applied to the previous call, there is a certain requirement this year. You must have a particular minimum score of 70%. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for the next round of application. But as Jenny said, this, of course, also our annual call. So this call will come around again for the next 7 years. What is important? This is a joint application. So you would apply together with your host in a European higher education institution. So that can either be a European Union member country or one of the associated countries, and it's similar to what I showed you earlier on. There we go. Also interesting, I think, for you, it allows a lot of flexibility over the type of institution that can host you. So that can be both a classic university or it can be a private research actor. So perhaps a company is also possible for you to host you. And it gives you an opportunity to build in secondments as part of the 2 years that you would spend as a postdoc fellow. Sorry, this was too fast. Now let's go. Now it works. This is just an oversight over the funding. It is a very generous funding program, which really allows you to just focus on your research without having to worry about much else. And you can see here, this is the timeline. So if you were to apply this year, by February next year, you would find out whether you've been successful or not. And again, very nicely, you have up to 1 year to defer the start of your fellowship in case you have commitments at your current institution. A key issue for you, of course, would be how do you find a host in Europe? We just had a 3-day session, Jenny and I, where we were matching you with European institutions. If you've missed it, you can find all the material online. And our MSCA Net project, of which Jenny is a member, has a specific platform where you can arrange for one-to-one meetings to identify suitable institutions or supervisors in Europe. Don't know why this says Malaysia, but again, as I said at the beginning, this is an opportunity also for you to host a fellow here in Indonesia. These would be the global fellowships. These fellowships are an opportunity to really build your network with potential European collaborators. Now, we don't have so much time, so I'm just going to skip here through the submissions and the evaluations. As I said, the award criteria are excellence, but also impact and implementation. So what the funder is looking for are novel ideas, people that have thought about how they're going to carry out their research, and people that have also thought about how to communicate their research results to the wider community beyond just their own discipline. The final program that I want to introduce you to are the staff exchanges. I think this is really a very important project because it allows you to start building bridges to partner institutions in Europe that you then later perhaps want to apply for big European grants for. The staff exchanges, now this is flicking, is really a novel idea of exchange of staff and transfer of knowledge. It's all focused on the sharing of best practice. These are projects that are based on the principle of staff exchanges. You have, I think, in total 640 units of exchanges. These can be between 1 and 12 months. The idea is that you form a consortium of different institutions in Europe and with partner countries such as Indonesia, and then the members of this research project visit each other to share expertise, either by teaching, looking at how you work in your lab, working on specific research projects together. And I think what also makes this very nice is that every member of your consortium can participate in this program. So master students that are part of the project, or administrators, technicians, professors, everybody can benefit from this particular program. So because we're running a bit out of time, maybe I just at this point also say we're going to share the presentations later on. And you, of course, if you're online, you can watch them again at your own leisure. And Jenny and I are available to answer questions. I want to just quickly, for the senior researchers in the room, also not miss out on the ERC. Now, as you can see, we're kind of working a little bit through the career stages. We started with masters, postdoc, staff exchanges, and this is the European Research Council, which is, of course, is dedicated to funding frontier science in Europe. The ERC is basically built on the principle of one project, one institution, and one researcher. And it provides funding. Here are the funding schemes for researchers with various expertise and career experiences. The starting grants for researchers that have, I can't see it from here, up to, I think, 3 years of post-PhD experience, then 7 to 12 years for the consolidator grants, and the advanced grades for really established PIs in their field. These are really fantastic opportunities to do research that pushes the frontiers of science. We always say this is your entry ticket to a Nobel Prize. I think I have a slide here which shows a little bit the kind of research kind of researchers that get this kind of grants. The principle is the same. These are open to researchers of any nationality. They're open to all research fields. What the ERC is looking for is excellent science, which means really a groundbreaking idea. Any project that you think would not get funded by a national funding body because it is just too experimental, this is exactly what the ERC is looking for. The calls are, I don't think I have a timetable here, but the calls are published on the website, and these are also annual calls. Just as a final note, the ERC also offers opportunities to benefit from the program, even if you're not a grantee yourself. Every ERC grantee, every PI, has budget available between 1.5 and 4 million euros, in fact, to build their research team. And there are lots of opportunities for researchers outside of Europe to come on board of these programs and work on ERC-funded projects. If you're also a grantee of an ERC grant and you're moving to Europe, for example, from Indonesia, you in fact get additional funding also to set up your research base there and to purchase equipment. I think this is the end of my presentation as well. As you can see, we've put in this presentation a lot of links that will lead you to the websites where you can find further information, and we will share it here that it can be shared within the institution. But of course, for all of you joining us online, you can always look us up, Uraxis.net, and you will of course find all this information there as well. I think now that's the end for now, and I'll hand back to our moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susanna and Dr. Lin. And let's give a warm round of applause for Dr. Susanna and Dr. Jenny Lin. It was a very interesting, fascinating, insightful presentations. I think it's not only an eye-opener, but also at the same time it broadens the horizon for us. So it's inviting. So now I would like to invite participants to pose questions. But before that, I would like to remind you, please don't forget to fill in the attendance list, because there you can also write an evaluation, so you can see the evaluation form. And please fill that in, because we would like also to improve how we can facilitate you and support you better. So for the first round, I'd like to invite 2 participants offline and 2 participants online to pose question. Let's see. From this room, from this audience here, 2 participants. Would you like to pose some questions? Yeah, 1. Another one? Okay. Yeah, and then 1 participant from this room, and also later on we have, okay, from the Zoom meeting, we have also a participant raising hand. Let's start with participant here. Please mention your name and your affiliation, and then post your question. But please be short and concise to to give more time for the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for the opportunities. I'm Rafaelino. I'm from Atmajaya Catholic University of Indonesia as well. Okay, so my question is, as you mentioned earlier, that this researchers program and also for this scholarship is available for all disciplines and all topics, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So as I can say that perhaps I am a beginner to make a research, especially for the international journals or international research. So if I am interested to join or follow the steps, as you mentioned earlier, about Euraxess in European Union, to make a research about all topics related to the European areas. If I want to go further, or perhaps if I want to move forward into the next steps, what shall I get the informations, or what shall I do? Yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Let's collect the question first. Yeah? Okay. Now the second question coming from the audience online. Let's see. I think it's Bapak Theodorus.
Hello. Yes, can I be heard clearly?
Yes, perfectly. Please.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Theodorus. I'm an employee in Atmajaya Catholic University of Indonesia, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD in Wageningen University. And I have a question about the breakdown of this program that Susan mentioned about host university in third countries in Southeast Asia that can accept postdoctoral staffs from Europe. Do you have any information about the breakdown on how many universities in Indonesia that have been involved in this scheme, and also what is the percentage that's of private universities among that list? Because yeah, I'm just curious, because I don't know if it's already, how do you say it, well known or already common in Indonesia. That's for now.
Thank you, Pak Theo. So, Dr. Susanna, maybe you want to respond directly or Dr. Jenny. Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Maybe Jenny, I'll let you reply later to the Erasmus Mundus in case that's that might also be an opportunity. For the PhD fellowships or the postdocs, I'm not entirely sure what you're looking for right now, but I'll just reply to both. If you're interested in exploring a PhD opportunity that is funded by an MSCA doctoral network, you would, I think my first advice would be to look at the Euraxess funding portal, because every MSCA doctoral network will have to publish their openings on our platform. So you don't have to trawl the internet, you can find it all in that particular spot. The application details will differ from position to position, because as I said, they're looking for research with particular skill sets. I would always just say for researchers here to have the courage to apply. The research consortia are looking for researchers, of course, or applicants that have good academic skills, that can show potential for future leadership. They're looking really to, at your achievements so far as an all-round individual. So perhaps you already have some publications, although that's not at PhD level a necessity. Maybe you've been engaged in business activities, or you were active in associations. You basically would have to just present yourself as the ideal candidate for that position. I think my advice is, when you write an application, is always make sure that you don't send generic applications, but you really respond to what the funder is asking, just to really make sure that you highlight your achievements and make them fit to what the funder is asking for. When you're talking about the postdoc fellowships, the fellowship call that's open at the moment, I think the first step would be to really identify a European host. That is a necessity. These applications, and we get that question quite often, are not written by you and then you're waiting for a European host to be attached to you, but you will have to, as a first step, find an institution in Europe and find a supervisor, and together with that individual, draft a proposal. What the funder in that context is looking for is, as I said, the research proposal itself. It has to, of course, contribute to your academic discipline, but they're looking also for the match between you and your supervisor. The idea is that you learn from the expertise of the supervisor, you benefit from the facilities that they offer, but you also bring something to the table. You have certain experience, you have your network here in Indonesia with you bring along, so you really have to draft it in that sense that this is evident to the funder. And of course, this is a career development funding program. So they also want to see with this funding, you are elevated to the next level in your research career. For this, again, I would ask you to also consult the Euraxis portal. We have the hosting database there where you can already find offers, or you can contact us and we can kind of guide you in that particular journey. The second question by the gentleman, if he was asking about the global fellowships, I'm not quite sure if he's asking about the MSCA global fellowships and how many European fellows we currently have in Indonesia, then I'll have to say none. This is a very unused opportunity. Jenny and I are always scratching our heads why this isn't used more, because we think it is such a fabulous opportunity. So we'd be very happy to also maybe after this session follow up with whoever is interested bilaterally. Please contact us so that we can advise you in how to market your interest in hosting European institutions hosting European fellows at your institutions in Indonesia. We can support you in that. In terms of Indonesian participation in MSCA staff exchanges, that is a different story. Indonesia is one of the main beneficiaries in ASEAN. I think we have Across Southeast Asia, we had about 35 staff exchanges in all 10 countries. And I think Indonesia is perhaps, together with Malaysia, the top beneficiary. I can't tell you at the top of my head where exactly those staff exchanges are, but I think we have one here at this institution as well. But again, we can follow up bilaterally afterwards. Be very happy to provide that information to you. Jenny, would you like to add something?
Yeah, just on the Erasmus Mundus, because the questions, I think, dealt a lot with the percentage of Indonesian institutions that have been active. So with the capacity building for higher education institutions, there have been 146 institutions that have between 2015 to 2020 that have been active. I mean, within this time, it could be like it's the same institutions, adding up over the years, but it's that much. When it comes to the percentage of those who are participating in Erasmus Plus, if we look at Asia as a region, Indonesia would have 8% of participation to Asia. So we need to increase that a little bit more. And between 2015 to 2020 as well, there have been around 1,500 students and faculty that have been a part of the Erasmus Plus program.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Susanna and Dr. Jenny, for responding to questions. Let's open the second round for the discussion. Do we have a participant or more to pose questions in the room? No? Okay. And also not online. Okay. Well, maybe while we are waiting for more questions to come, I might, you mentioned about staff exchange and this under the scheme of Marie Skodovska curie action. Could you please elaborate more, because it was a bit fast. What could we do actually with the staff exchange? So I think it's not only research, or it's also or it's only for research, maybe teaching, or only research, and also what are the requirements, the basic requirements? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. The Marie Skodovska Career Action staff exchanges are funding the exchange of individuals. So it doesn't fund the research itself, but it's based on the concept of sharing of knowledge, sharing of expertise, and also building international collaborations. So it is really meant in a way also as a first stepping stone to build an international partnership that you could then apply jointly for big grants, for grants that are really funding the research itself. The eligibility criteria are like it is across the Marie Skodovska Career Actions. There are no thematic priority areas. It is open to all academic disciplines. There is a criteria that you need to have at least 2 partners in that consortium that are European Union based institutions, so one of the 27 EU member states, and 1 additional country from an Horizon Europe associated country. And then there is an unlimited number of so-called third countries that can participate in the consortium. Now, I think if I remember correctly, Jenny can correct me if I'm wrong, but the average size of a previously an MSCA RISE project was 8 consortium members. So it would be unusual to have particularly small ones, but they go up to 25. It really depends on what these collaborators want to work on. What is funded is the actual mobility. So as I said, I think it was there, the programs are usually 4 years long, and there's 540 units of mobility. Each unit or each exchange can be between 1 month minimum and 12 month maximum. And the opportunity and idea is really that you send people from this consortium to visit each other, to exchange knowledge, and to exchange ideas. So you could send someone to give, to teach a short-term program, to attend a conference, to do a workshop together, maybe to draft a proposal. So that's really the idea. And I think what makes it interesting, as I said earlier, everybody in the consortium can participate. So if your research group here at Atmajaya University is participating, you can send your master student, you can send your technician, you yourself, of course, can benefit as well. Jenny, would you like to add something?
Yeah, just with our experience, you know, it's also an opportunity. The MSA Rise is also an opportunity for you, you know, to explore a bit more, a bit deeper with your existing networks on what you can do together. So, MSA Rise is actually a springboard for more elaborate or expanded, you know, research collaboration. Because these are short-term grants, and as Susan was saying, these are individual grants. But somehow your representatives will be able to, you know, to look at maybe the low-lying fruits that you can harness and nurture together, so that you can also target the other grants.
Yes, exactly. And the call this year will open in December, and it closes in April next year. So this is really a good time now to start exploring. So if you were interested in this, as Jenny said, you should start activating your existing partners in Europe, alert them to this opportunity, and then through their network maybe start building a consortium. They would have to be the lead applicant, which also is not necessarily a bad thing, right? If someone else has to manage it. But it really is, as Jenny said, a great opportunity. And if I'm not mistaken, within the MSCA, it also has the highest success chances. So it is actually between 18 and 24% at times. So it's not as depressing as some of the other calls. So it's really a great opportunity, and I want to emphasize what Jenny said. It's a springboard to bigger things. It's really for you to build your network, and then together you can apply for the big grants also in Horizon Europe. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's very interesting. I think we have enough time to then get back to our drawing board at the university and then think what we can do with this opportunity. Okay, so do we still have time? Yeah, I think we still have time, yeah? Okay. Then because there is no question from the audience, I would like to abuse power as a moderator to to ask more questions. Now I'd like to, you mentioned earlier about depressing, and I heard that RC is very competitive. So I would like to hear more about it. You mentioned about earlier that this program is for senior researchers, so advanced experienced researchers, and I think this is particularly interesting because in this context in Indonesia maybe or in Atmajaya, well, unlike in Europe, for example, where you traditionally are familiar with postdocs and this kind of models. Not until recently that we acknowledge this as also a model to advance your research, which means that time must have passed until you realize that, aha, I should have done my postdoc. but now I'm more than 8 years now since the PhD has been granted to me. But I'd like to have some opportunities also to have collaboration for research in Europe. So would it mean that ERC could be something that is thinkable for this? And then the second question is, talking about collaboration, then we will need a partner, right, for the ERC? Or
yes,
yeah, please.
So the ERC, the European Research Council, funds excellent science. This is really, as I said at the beginning, an opportunity for researchers that have already established itself to some extent. It is not necessarily for very advanced researchers. Of course, the advanced grants are for those researchers that are well known in their field with a number of applications and perhaps patents, etc. But it offers an opportunity, and it very much focuses on young researchers. The starting grants are really an opportunity for young researchers to make their name in the international research community. The sole criterion for the ERC grants is excellence. They're not looking at anything else. And I think by comparison, the application is also reasonably straightforward. They're just simply interested in your research proposal. It is really one of the most prestigious grants that Europe has on offer. And of course, they will look at the track record of the applicant. But as I said, they're really looking for someone who has the guts to push the boundaries of their particular research. It has to be together with a European institution, but I can assure you, if you have what it takes to be successful at this, any institution in Europe will take you and roll out the red carpet. It is extremely well-funded, and usually, of course, besides the ERC grant, these applicants manage to acquire grants from all kinds of other areas. It is also an opportunity for you to move around with a grant. This is, I think, unlike the MSCA, where you have to remain attached to your host. If you come to Europe and you realize this is not what I need to carry out my research, you take your grant and you can move it elsewhere. You can also, as I said, build your own research team with the grant, so you can have collaborators that are the best in their field from anywhere in the world, and I think one of them can also be based outside of Europe. We have, of course, ASEAN nationals that are ERC grantees. Among them are also Indonesians. They are absolutely fabulous. We always feel, Jenny and myself, that there is a little bit of hesitancy. People always get a little bit deterred when they hear excellence. Then they're a little bit too shy to risk it. But what we always hear from the grantees themselves, they were probably not successful the first time round or the second time round, sometimes even the third time round, but they keep applying, because every time you apply